world. More because it's brightly coloured and I like theme parks because we only have one in New Zealand.
I'll tell you what else, there's only one Bello and one Bello Doomfist. He's playing it right off the back.
Oh man, why did we ever talk about this guy?
You know what, I'm never mentioning his Doomfist again.
Yeah, that's it. We've cursed the guy irrevocably, irredeemably.
I told you, whoever lands the CC first, if it's Charm and Hamzy, if you get Shield Bash and Flashbang, that's it, you're done.
Bello respawned. But in all seriousness, GrandXur now set up very nicely on the point. LYNX haven't given up any more deaths. As I say, that Boom Barappa will lose his mech. What they have given up, though, is position and ground, and now also progress on the point. Decent hack onto Hamzy, but even then, Bello does not connect.
He's got ult already.
Hamzy still closes out the kill, and you're dead right, dead eye available for GrandXur as they cap.
And a huge ring of kills. It's just no one on LYNX TH able to do anything. You see the positioning from LYNX. Bello was kind of even caught out there. GrandXur immediately just rushed into him, Brigida in his face, and Bello, he wanted to be coming in from an angle unspotted. He was spotted right away, and now LYNX TH almost immediately on the back foot on B already.
That's the thing, maybe LYNX need to not believe their own hype there with Bello's Doomfist. Deadeye getting channeled out, looking for an angle. Finds Tsutsuru-sama and Rod Tongue as well. Got picked up. Bello, Hamzy is absolutely popping off. Bello, who, despite the nano boost out onto Boom Barappa, there's not really much he can do here. They're just kind of stalling out, trying to find a way back in on this point.
And this could be a cap already. I mean, we've got a Primal Raise from Rod Tongue coming in. Bello's about to die again, I think, because look at Hamzy. He's untouched. No one can take him down.
Bello's got to swap.
Where was the Primal?
Else at this point. I mean, for how good as Doomfist is, it's just not cutting the mustard here. GrandXur, that was very, very clean.
And fast. I mean, the fact is...
Fast, furious.
And clean. The clean version. The G version. And the thing here to talk about is, when you're playing Super Kree, like, you got to go back to the fact that you have just this huge stun capability, very difficult to dive onto. You're playing two heroes that want to be on the back line, except the pressure was so high from GrandXur. Tsutsuru-sama on the Sombra never had a chance to get the right flank around, was spotted out super early, died to the Deadeye on that B defense. Bello as well, he was spotted so early. He needs an element of surprise. That is where he has shined in the past as a Doomfist, and Doomfist in general needs to be able to get onto your squishy members without being stopped, without getting shot out, and every single time Hamzy sees him, pops a couple shots in them, 70 damage apiece, 140 if it's going to be a headshot. And for Bello, time and time again, eating too much damage, jumps in, gets stunned, doesn't want to jump and dies anyway. There's just no winning there. He has to be able to have some form of control. LYNX TH needs to have a defense where they can actually stabilize and get their members into the correct positions.
Yes, the unfortunate truth there is that LYNX did kind of dig out their own grave. And then made the mistake of stepping and
then lied into it.
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Bello can play other things. We are seeing him play other things. So I think actually maybe best to avoid the Doomfist just a little bit. Don't go too all in on it. You don't need it necessarily.
That's right. All we got to do is now hype up Hamzy and then he'll underperform. So that's exactly how this goes.
And then all will be...
Right, even in the world. Charm is going to attempt his own Doomfist.
Should be.
I do want to see now how Charm wants to approach this because they've shut down a Doomfist on their own defense, on their own offense rather. So now when they are defending with Doomfist, and look how early Charm gets spotted out already, eats a Discord orb on himself, doesn't find a good approach in, has to re-angle himself, already finding it difficult.
The difference is though, LYNX don't have those crowd control tools that GrandXur used to shut down Bello. That being said, Hamzy, forced to retreat, got sniffed out, took too much damage. AC Charm looking to wrap around the side. Bello should be aware of that, but he finds the catch anyway. Bello just not quite looking in the right place at the right time. Dive onto Charm does finally stick. They did get silver coin as well, but losing panties has been rough. Zobi's solo healing right now while they wait for these respawners.
And I know Genji's a ninja, but right now it's going to be the Doomfist that has to play the silent assassin. Charm though wants to go into the other assassin, going to swap onto the Tracer instead, get himself back to the point quickly because Hamzy's already down. They need DPSs, they need Charm now.
Yeah, silver coin was able to remech, which was nice. They also popped Rod Tongue, and they're looking to get Boom Barappa's mech. Amazingly, he's still got it, but he had to move back to heal up. Meanwhile, though, on the front line, Bello's been making hay while the sun shines upon him. Holding on to a Dragon Blade now, looking for an angle in.
Looking
at the back line, instantly in, on top of the EMP as well. Doesn't even need the blade to close out on a Zenyatta in that state. The trade back is there, but GrandXur lacking in those healers, and Zobi has a sound barrier if they even need it, which I don't think they do. Looks like LYNX are going to be able to secure this point in just a few moments.
And by the way, very important here for Bello to actually save the Dragon Blade. If they use both the EMP and the Dragon Blade, it will be difficult for LYNX TH to snowball onto B. They have to save one of those two ults, preferably both. For GrandXur, they were able to mount some good amount of defense that forces at least one ult out.
This is where the clock becomes a bit of an enemy, though, to LYNX because of how their own defense went. They do need to cap pretty quickly here, otherwise the time bank becomes very, very difficult for them. Not impossible, just difficult. That being said, they've got the tools they need to snowball.
Hamzy's got to get in.
Finally gets in on the back line of them, but doesn't quite get the connection. Does get a left-click hack onto Zobi, or right-click hack, rather. Finally get the follow-up as well. Hamzy had to go in really deep for that and wasn't punished for it, so now LYNX are just kind of stuck in a really awkward spot, have to take a retreat.
And if it wasn't for the fact that Zobi went down, I actually think LYNX TH's rotation there was absolutely fantastic. What they want to do is bait out the EMP, then run through the front gates, immediately turn to the left, follow the EMP, or rather have the EMP follow them. If they want an EMP there in that sort of location, LYNX are in a great place to defend themselves. Had Zobi survived, they just wait out the effects of the EMP itself, then re-push in with a sound barrier or a transcendence or something else, because right now they have 6 ultimates, or nearly 6.
There's going to be the sound barrier committed. Looking for an angle in. Charm does the pulse bomb. Sticks Bombarafa. That's a big one. Does a chunk of damage. Nice hack out, but they've got the closeout anyway. GrandXur in a great spot here. LYNX are good, preserving some ultimates, but ultimately it is not a successful fight, only getting that third.
And once again, if you've got to preserve ultimates, you want to make sure you have at least one of the EMP or Dragon Blade available for this next push. They did commit a couple in there, but they also drew out the Transcendence. Notably, they also got a Primal Rage. This means when Bello eventually goes in now with this Dragon Blade, as long as it doesn't get slapped or hacked out, or just instantly popped out by something on the GrandXur side, it's going to be an effective Dragon Blade. No Transcendence to stop him.
Oh, Hamzy got detected. He's now...
They're looking for him.
He's giving him the slip.
It's that Metal Gear Solid little sound that comes up.
Oh, man. The moment you say... Like, that's actually my ringtone when I receive a text. Now just looking for some backliners. Looking to have the element of surprise. Nearly has an EMP to boot. At the very least, they are aware of how LYNX choose to approach. Good hack onto Panties, but they can't get a follow-up. Hamzy has to translocate.
This is about the point where LYNX TH need to find an entry in. While
Jump
time has been wasted, that's actually a good 6v5 now, but Hamzy's got an EMP, so the time has paid off. GrandXur were waiting.
This is still an opportunity to commit, but never mind. Hamzy immediately gets the connection, and unfortunately, LYNX are not able to deal with it. They knew that that would have been available, but they still just kind of played right into it, and the follow-up so quick.
And LYNX could not afford to wait there. They needed to go with the Dragon Blade, because the problem now is Hugo gets another Transcendence if this fight goes any longer, or rather the next fight. He's at 84, 85%. Once he gets this Transcendence, Bello's going to be counted out again. And for LYNX TH, that last fight needed to be the one they really committed on to, and instead it's GrandXur that finds the fight instead.
LYNX still with these ultimates, but they keep just playing into GrandXur's macro game.
The Transcendence.
They're in real trouble. Now looking to commit again. Transcendence out very early from Panties. They need to really make that mean something here, because Hugo's just going to be able to throw out one of his own. Hamzy's low, not quite dead. Papillon very far forward, takes some big chunks, but he backs off a line charm as well. What this is doing, even though it's not kills, it's given LYNX TH some room onto the back line. Finds Malon. Boombarappa did go down and was not able to self-destruct, which means he does not remech. Bello only found the one, but they isolate Hugo on the back line. They've decided to stick in this one, and I think that's dangerous. They've only had the one healer here, but Bello's making this count. Silvercoin does have a self-destruct to preserve that mech. However, both teams are going to choose to reset.
And they just need to regroup here. If LYNX TH actually had the members together, despite being down on members, they can snowball with the EMP, collect a few more kills, and potentially get some really good progress onto the point. Now other EMPs are coming out.
That's a nice quick commit though, and the counter EMP from Nutsuru-sama, but it's not enough to rescue the fight. They've already lost too many members. Even though they get kills, GrandXur's follow-up is better than LYNX's right now. And that's been what's defined every single one of these fights. Even when the ultimates connect, LYNX are not following up the kills.
And the other problem is LYNX don't actually have enough advantage. Time and time again, they're not going into fights. They're not able to set up game states where they're far enough ahead to just outright win a fight with resource. Every single time they might have had some small advantage, GrandXur are able to stall out. They're able to buy enough time, able to pressure the backline, much like Hamzy's about to do right now, to slow down LYNX. And that's going to give GrandXur the opportunity to get the defense they want.
Bizarre. It's like LYNX are just using the ultimates, assuming that it means they're going to win the fight. Doesn't quite work that way. The execution needs to be there now, as with the sound barrier having run out, they're still looking for a way to start this fight off in their favor.
That was an ultimate trade, by the way.
By the time they've even got Papillon low, though, Charmer's been able to wrap around, finds Rodchung, and it's still LYNX on the back foot, on the retreat.
And unfortunately, LYNX are having to trade ultimates here. They're not getting an advantage in terms of the ultimates because you have Zobi using a sound barrier, needing to use a sound barrier to try and counter out the nano boost onto the Winston. They can't get an advantage because they have to keep trading one for one, because they have to keep responding with ultimates to other ultimates. They need time to save up, they need time to bank against GrandXur and actually win a fight that way.
Now, again, they do have some ultimates in the pocket. Bello's taking some chunks there. He's lost that trade. Hamzy's safe back there for now. That's dangerous for LYNX, but they're looking to commit. They need to. They throw out the Transcendence, throw the self-destruct forward. Rodchung pops his Primal Rage. They find one with the self-destruct. This is the best start they've had so far. Even finding Silver Coin, does get to throw out his self-destruct, but doesn't find anything with it. Bello's gone down, though, with a Dragon Blade. Hamzy's going to be coming up on an EMP as well. Charm finds his counterpart, Nutsuru-sama, who also did not rally. This is happening time and time again on the side of LYNX, and this time, it'll be the last time that it costs them everything. GrandXur, too ironclad on that defense. LYNX only getting 2/3. When you compare that to GrandXur's absolutely domineering offense.
And that was just a lot of, that was just a lot of initial pressure from that killing Doom first really early, killing Bello super early, and then able to push through on that momentum off of A onto B. They only spent 2 minutes overall. It was like a 6 minute something time bank, right? Really, really huge time bank coming out from the side of GrandXur. So even if LYNX TH actually managed to cap out the whole thing, they're playing into a huge deficit there, and they actually didn't get the opportunity to set up for, again, a proper game state where they're very much far ahead, which is kind of what you need to be doing on an assault-type map, because otherwise you are relying on a lot of clutch plays, something like what we saw both the Divas do on Numbani, which is find some huge self-destruct kills. Didn't happen this time around from either the Diva players. We've really looked to the DPS plays to make things work here. Hamzy doing a decent amount of work, Charm doing a decent amount of work, and sort of Summer and Bello can't really say the same.
And even when Bello was getting good amounts done, it's just nowhere near enough to, like you said, counter out what was coming out of the side of GrandXur from both their DPSs. And that's to say nothing in the follow-up that the tanks were getting as well. I mean, compare the two Winstons there, just how much more work was getting done. Rodchung was not having much impact with ultimates, without ultimates, in any regard, really, which is unfortunate. Even when he wasn't dying, he wasn't doing much with that life that he did have. So now, 1 win the way of LYNX, 2 now the way of GrandXur. We come back onto a payload map, we come onto Escort now. I've got to say I am favouring GrandXur coming into this.
And the other thing is, you have to look at Assault, and specifically Hanamura, as a map that should be somewhat LYNX favoured. Now, LYNX favoured in a vacuum of just LYNX as a team, not LYNX favoured in terms of who they're playing against, because we don't have a lot of data to go off of for GrandXur. Like, you know, are they good on Hanamura? What are they going to be doing here? And they've really shown us, and they've really shown LYNX TH as well. Look, they're able to counter out what LYNX TH want to be able to do. Find the Doomfist super early, shut him down. The Super McCree was absolutely dominating against LYNX TH. And then on the other side, I mean, this was a map that you expect LYNX TH to really be one of their better ones. Again, looking in a vacuum, if you go across the 4 possible maps, 5 maybe if they can turn this around, Hanamura and Horizon and that assault map in general in the middle should be the one they should win the most.
It was a little bit unfortunate as well since we've been off Busan, since we've been off Control. We are seeing a bit of a repeating pattern here out of LYNX, and that's they're not able to play those momentum style games in that same way that they can play Control. Because the momentum on Control behaves very differently, the way the macro game plays out. And they played that very well. But you kind of caught upon it in Hanamura there. They're not really effectively setting up those game states for themselves that are potentially winnable. They're also not getting the same kind of follow-up because of the physicality of a lot of those fights. On Control, it's very condensed. It's very obvious where you're going to fight. On Assault, it's a little bit more varied, and they seem to be struggling in that. So I want to see them recover that a little bit here coming onto Route 66, where you can just fight more on the payload itself.
You do start to feel, ever since Busan, which did go the way of the LYNX TH, Numbani and Hanamura, this entire game in terms of momentum is starting to go further and further in the way of GrandXur. Numbani was still relatively close in comparison to what we saw here on Hanamura, because that at least went to a time bank of some fashion, even if it was a one-sided time bank where it was GrandXur attacking. LYNX in a position where the best they could do was go for a draw, but a draw would have been better than a loss in that scenario. On Hanamura, it was all about GrandXur, and it was kind of like LYNX was nowhere to be seen.
It's a little bit unfortunate. But, oh well, maybe things will change up here. I think one thing that's important to note is, because the most relevant statistic here is to look at Numbani when we're now coming into an escort map that's just the most similar game mode. LYNX's defense wasn't bad. It just wasn't as good as GrandXur's, and their offense wasn't bad. It just wasn't as good as GrandXur's, which means they're not far off. It's not like there's something, just one thing hugely lacking. Their offense is fine, but their defense is just nowhere near good enough. Everything is almost there, which means if you can just tweak it up that little bit, tighten a few screws, figure out how it is your opponent's playing, you can really change the tune of these game modes.
The other thing is, when we go back to talking about game states, and what I mean by that is setting up a scenario where you are going to be in a favorable position to win. You look at a team like GrandXur, they're actually winning when they're behind, they're actually winning when they're ahead on Hanamura specifically as a map, because even when you had, I got to go back to specifically the position where they had 4 Cellar Trance, LYNX had 4 Cellar Trance, they were going to get in with the Dragon Blade, and then Hamzy and Charm just bullied that backline and prevented that push from going through, and eventually Hugo got himself another Transcendence. It was all over from there, because then suddenly there was no huge Dragon Blade advantage that LYNX TH could really rely upon. So even in those sort of scenarios, you got to look at GrandXur and say, when they're behind or when they realize this is going to be a push that LYNX are favored in, GrandXur is still finding ways to win. And going into Route 66, as was mentioned, the momentum of the game is heavily shifting towards GrandXur. I could potentially see this as being another very good map for GrandXur.
You can certainly see the potential both ways. I do have to say, I would like to see a little bit more impact out of Nutsuru Sama. Seen good things out of him on the Zarya, haven't seen it as much on his other picks so far. We do know that this player has a lot of potential. He has played exceptionally well on a wide variety of heroes before. But now out the gates, GrandXur be popping a Hanzo.
And I wonder if this is going to be a Hanzo he stays on, or whether he just wants to scout out right now. It does look like he wants to go back into base. And it's going to be the fire from Chime as well. So wanting to just counter out this ground-based composition, it's Winston goes for LYNX TH, and GrandXur says, we're going to take to the skies.
I do like it. Do like it a lot, making use of that verticality. It's not a hard counter, though. You do still have to be able to effectively follow up on the damage you do, but that's partially what the Winston and, of course, the Sombra are there to do.
And Hamzy already taken a decent amount of damage. Hamzy actually has to find correct hack targets here, specifically if you get the Diva. That's how you really enable Charm onto the fire, but he's been pretty well enabled. Look at that 80% charge he just spawned.
Yeah, and that's so much opening damage that got as well. Bumbarapa has not been at full health for a very, very long time here, but the ground game does go the way of LYNX. They're able to deal with that tank lineup, and not a moment too soon. However, when those tanks respawn, they've got to figure out what they're going to do against this rocket barrage.
And this is going to be where Bumbarapa has to really, really step up. He has to make sure he's watching Charm all the time. Look at where he's approaching from. Have that defense matrix ready. Fly into Charm's face as well when he's about the rocket barrage. These are all the ways that he needs to be able to shut Charm down. And for GrandXur, finding the location, finding ways to get around Bumbarapa is how they can win.
Goes in for the backline. Oh, and he's found Bumbarapa with the mech. That gives him so much freedom with that barrage. Does go down to Bello, but the damage has been done.
There is a
Trades are not good enough, unfortunately. Hamzy does get popped, though. They're not out of this one just yet. They do want to stick in this, and Sama does have himself a Graviton Surge. They may just want to commit here. As you see, Papillon going to retreat. Marlon goes down to Rod Tongue's Primal Rage. They've actually been able to push GrandXur back.
And this is a difficult position for GrandXur to play in because Melon right now has a Valkyrie, but we are seeing compositional changes. So you're not going to see the full value out of that Mercy pick anymore. They're going to switch to the ground themselves. After what was originally a pretty good rocket barrage, he goes down, but GrandXur still have the advantage. There was a res available. Couldn't quite find it onto Hamzy, and now we've reset completely.
Bello immediately takes a huge chunk though, forces out the sound barrier, and he still goes down to the charge from Papillon. So there has to be an answer soon from LYNX. They were able to handle this last time around. This time it's not looking as promising. Panties though, that Transcendence has kept the team in it. You see Papillon fishing for an Earth Shatter. There's the big one, and the self-destruct layered on top of it. It's almost too easy for GrandXur.
Who needs a Graviton Surge here? You can layer out with an Earth Shatter here as well. Call that one a layup if you want. And for GrandXur, pushing on through easy as you like it. Not much defensively coming out of LYNX there. And because they're running Rod Tongue on the Winston, this is where, once you get that Earth Shatter, again, so difficult to block out. All you've got is a Winston bubble. Long cooldown there, easy to burst down. Final defense on 8 here for LYNX TH.
But it's not out of the woods just yet for GrandXur, because LYNX TH do have a good amount of tools available. Bumbarapa does not connect with the self-destruct though, and Rod Tongue not finding much with his Primal Rage just yet. Sama goes down, charging from Papillon. He's got another Shatter. No one can counter it out, but they do lose Charm. There's the connection, instantly catching Bello with the Fire Strike. Now GrandXur on the offense here. LYNX have kind of weathered this one just a little bit, but they don't have any ultimates until the supports get theirs available. And I don't think they're going to get there with Panties going down. Zobi as well, just as he had that ultimate available. Hamzy, he isn't going to need this ultimate here. That is good for GrandXur. They're going to be able to push on through A.
10 seconds remaining though, so you have to really give credit to LYNX TH for being able to stall out as long as they did. The trajectory right now is, even if GrandXur can cap out B, this could still be a hold onto C because we are into overtime, or we were just about into overtime for that A push. GrandXur were slowed down significantly, and LYNX TH still have the ability to come back, get a really good defense on B, force another overtime.
Now, GrandXur. Look at all these tools that they have in the toolbox. LYNX, though, coming up on some of their own very soon. They can survive till that point.
Hello's low.
It's a little bit of a tough start for them. Hamzy looking for an angle. Respect.
Oh, Zobi!
Zobi gets picked, and then the grab connects on all the rest. That's going to be almost a complete gong if it weren't for the fact that Panties was still alive on the payload itself, but that is a quick fight win for GrandXur.
That is absolutely disgusting. Zobi couldn't complete the channel for his ultimate there, so the sound barrier never landed. And for LYNX TH, they were depending on it. They needed the bonus HP there to really contest GrandXur. Didn't quite have it, so LYNX TH had their entire team wiped out, all 6 of them eventually. Full reset, more ultimates charged on the side of GrandXur, and for LYNX, still waiting for this defense to begin.
This is a really tough spot for LYNX. That being said, because these fights have taken quite a while and those earlier defenses as well, GrandXur are lean for time. Rod Tongue whips the Shatter. I think he connected with one, but the defense came straight in. Good stick, good charge. There's going to be one down. Bumbarapa connects though, despite going down to those rockets, and that's going to change the pace of this fight. Papillon, despite having that ultimate, too low to commit it, and now LYNX press the advantage. They get back in possession of the payload.
And this is where you got to credit Rod Tongue, because as the self-destruct came through, he was able to charge the opposing Reinhardt Papillon out of the way. No shields to block it out, and then you have Bumbarapa collecting himself too, and that's going to secure this defense for now for LYNX TH, and for now, could be forever as well. Less than 40 seconds remaining. Wasn't a lot of time to start with for GrandXur. Not a lot of time left to complete this push.
They are just a little bit ahead in the ultimates though. That's a fatty shatty as they all fall on their backs. The follow-up isn't quite there though. They do catch Charm, but Hugo is quick on the response now. What can GrandXur do with that space that Hugo bought them? They're mostly just waiting for Charm, trying to march the payload up, looking for an angle with Papillon's Earth Shatter.
Perfect defense there from Hugo. That was a well-used Transcendence to block out, or rather stop the effectiveness of the Shatter coming through from Rod Tongue. 5 seconds remaining means someone Somebody has to touch the cart.
Self-destruct goes forward, Earthshatter as well. They only catch Zobi. That's not very much conversion. Papillon goes down. Hamzy commits him with a grab. Doesn't get too much for it. They've only finally fallen out on Panties, finding it in the tanks as well. Lynx are not in a great spot as the sort of
would not recommend this grab.
But no one could follow up on it. That's so unfortunate. It just kind of gives possession of the payload back to GrandXur, and just in time to cap out point B.
I think at this rate, LYNX TH did their job. They managed to push through, or rather stall through until the overtime hit in. And for Nutsudasama, unless he's going to change off Azaria right now, he should have kept that grab. They can stall here, they can defend here again, complete the hold onto C, but now they're down onto the tools. They could have had that extra grab, and they don't.
He's behind in charge compared to Hamzy as well. Not a great spot to be in, but they are a little bit up on ultimates in some other areas. But Zobi again dies, but great shatter from Rodtung. Where's the follow-up though? Again, all they get is charm. They need to be getting more follow-up.
They got counted.
Why is no one shooting these men? But you're quite right, the counters are there, is what's happening. GrandXur do just back off, lick their wounds for a moment.
It's twice in a row after Rodtung lands a big shatter. Hugo has to transcend it straight away. You get a kill onto the charge, but no one else will go down. The healing is too good. Now we're going to look at Papillon. Can he land his own Earth Shatter? And if he does, it's going to be Panties and Zobi countering out.
Exactly, and the question is again, can they, or will Zobi get dropped as he's channeling the ultimate, or will it be Panties who gets overcaught out?
Yep,
there's
counted.
A huge shatter. The counter is there, but it's Rodtung who goes down. Charge out to the side. Grab comes in as well. Panties cannot save against that one because he was charged out. Hamzy, excellent connection, and GrandXur again just getting so much more value with their ultimates.
Well, the stall has been effective. 15 seconds now to go. The completion here is going to be so much more difficult. And hello, Bello back on the Doomfist. Zobi with the not the transcendence, rather the sound barrier. That should be enough to keep everyone alive. LYNX TH, if they can get some good rocket punch kills, that's all they need.
Looking for one, goes straight in onto Hamzy. Doesn't quite get the kill though. Trying to find some shots. Wants
he didn't get the sound barrier.
That's a nice sound barrier out of Zobi. There we go. Looking to commit in. Bello still finding angles, looking for something. Hasn't quite got what he needs yet as Marlon channels his own sound barrier. Good stun down there from Charm. Doesn't get the kill though. Papillon does die. This is what LYNX need now on the defense as Bello still playing Disruption. Nearly as a meteor strike. And there's going to be a Transcendence from Panties. They've got all the tools. They've got the follow-up. No one on the payload for those last few seconds. GrandXur will not quite get it over the line. And finally LYNX see the fruits of their defensive labors.
And this is where getting Papillon down so early is super effective. First of all, he is the main tank of the lineup. Once you take the Ryan out of the way, the damage is far more effective. No 2000 HP shield to block it out anymore. Secondly, he was close to an Earth Shatter, 86, I believe, % when he went down. So close to getting his own. That would have been a huge tool to play against LYNX TH. Would have really put them on their backs. Maybe literally if he lands it. But for LYNX TH, because they get that kill, then they drop the Graviton Surge. Sound barrier came through. Didn't quite catch Bello. Didn't need to catch Bello, as we found out eventually, because they were able to find the picks regardless. The Gravster kills everything. GrandXur do not cap, but a lot of that came down to the groundwork and the foundations that LYNX TH laid out on points A and B on those defenses. They did not complete the defenses on A and B, but they forced it to overtime twice, or at least on A, if you want to be nitpicky, force it to like 2 or 3 seconds, just about hitting the overtime, and that's enough. Once you've got that much time out, there's just so little to play with for GrandXur to make that C push.
Completing that defense is very important when you compare that to Numbani, but now LYNX need to make it mean something. Their offense has to be absolutely dynamite here if they want to push this to a tiebreaker.
This is a position, a very good position for LYNX to be in, but they, like you said, they need to be able to get to that location. Anyway, we've seen this before. We've seen this in Nova versus Talent Esports. Despite being able to, I guess, prevent a full map completion, if you don't actually get past the first couple of points yourselves, you're still in a lot of trouble.
See if they can just keep doing what works. GrandXur again. Running out something else.
And this is the versatility. We've seen Hamzy and Char play a lot of different stuff here, a lot of hit scans. LYNX TH, they've had Bello on the Doomfist, they've had Nutsudasama on the Sombra, but beyond that, it's just goats.
They do feel just a little bit more one-dimensional, but if it works, then that one-dimensionality isn't necessarily an issue.
If they win this map, it works. If not, it's a 3-1 in favor of GrandXur. Then there'll be a lot more questions to be asked. Look at the ult charge right now, 67, 75 for Hamzy. He's doing a lot of damage.
Takes a bit of pain, but he's going to back up. That being said, this whole time, GrandXur, despite getting these good shots and having got kills and have slowly conceded ground panties, who's the sniper now? And this is an opening for LYNX. They move forward. They find Malin with the dive. This is good for LYNX.
We'll see if Charm can go down here, or whether Charm can do a lot more damage nearly onto this pulse bomb. Hamzy's already respawned now as Azaria, but LYNX TH is still pushing through. This has been a pretty effective push so far for them.
Oh, man. Just pick after pick, they're deconstructing GrandXur, constantly ensuring that there's never enough of them to genuinely have anything to hold water in a fight.
Worst part is Charm actually swaps onto Brigida, so didn't get a chance to throw out the pulse bomb. He was probably going to swap anyway. You could see the rest of his members going onto the 3-3. And straight away, LYNX TH not going to waste any time.
Could cost him though. Panties is low. Dies before he got a Transcendence. That is a huge overstep from LYNX. Too overconfident. Did not respect the fact that those ultimates they were banking on that would have seen them safe were not up yet.
To be fair, a lot of teams after capping, you do want to push forward. What they did not expect was how ready GrandXur were to make that kind of push happen. The bigger punish here, despite losing that push, that's a pretty big punish within itself. But GrandXur freshly swapped onto a Goat's composition. Now they get to ult charge themselves. They got to catch up on ults, and that's exactly what puts them back in the game.
That's the thing, they're actually in a good position in terms of the ultimate charge, especially on those high impact ones. That doesn't account for members just getting picked out though. Hugo was not able to save Charm there. And LYNX, they've got their own defense ultimates to pull out if things get dire. Papillon's low, Hamzy's low too, does get one before he goes down. But LYNX, they don't even need to commit ultimates here, they just straight out frag. And GrandXur did commit ultimates. That's the momentum shift LYNX needed.
And Rally's free anyway. You want to use Rally just to get the bonus armor. They still get that bonus armor, or at least some of it. And they get the other 5 ultimates, including the grab that is soon to come up for LYNX TH. They should be looking to cap B here, and with enough time remaining to really challenge for that C. And if they can get that C push correct, then they're going to win the map.
Totally recovered from what happened earlier on in that point. Nice stun on Papillon. The shatter comes through, finds members behind him. They connect the grab, they follow up. This is huge. This is what GrandXur did so well. And finally, LYNX showing they've got the same chops.
And because GrandXur are behind in ults right now, Papillon dies on 99. There's just not a lot of opportunity for them to counter out. That's going to be the completed B push now. Just under 5 minutes to not even get to the end of C. They don't even need to complete the whole map. They just need to cap partway through it for LYNX. This is so winnable.
It's not over till the cap lady sings though, which means LYNX, they lose Rod Tongue. This is a good opportunity for GrandXur. A great Earth Shatter from Papillon to ensure that this one sticks now that that defensive Reinhardt shield wasn't there for LYNX. And this is what GrandXur need. LYNX have to get a lot of ultimates out of GrandXur before they can get this cart back underway.
And what LYNX really needed to do was able to counter out the Earth Shadow with either the Sound Barrier or the Transcendence, maybe even both. That's what's going to cost you to continue the momentum. Because they couldn't do that, the momentum's been reset, and GrandXur is able to get themselves up to 5 ults, able to match the double support ults of LYNX as well. So now for GrandXur, the ability to stall, the ability to buy out a lot of time is here.
Grab self-destruct combo, placed very nicely. Rod Tongue, what do? Do you point the shield forward and save these members, or do you point it behind you and stop the self-destruct? Unfortunately, you can't do both. And GrandXur, again, good low economy fight win.
And that's assuming Papillon himself doesn't just charge you out of the way, so you can do neither, and that would secure a lot more damage out of the self-destruct. GrandXur, though, are finally having to use some of these resources. So we talk about setting up state of the game here, and for LYNX TH, couldn't quite do that correctly on Hanamura, but on Route 66, nearly at 5 ults themselves, they might be able to do this now.
That's a very early sound barrier out of Malin. I feel like GrandXur are trying to force this fight. Papillon did not connect with the Earth Shatter. Meanwhile, Rod Tongue does follow up, a little bit tough, but they do at least find Malin. Hugo not able to save him. Now they go forward. Hamzy not up on a grab just yet, and Nutsuru-sama about to be. And that's if they even need it. This is very good for LYNX. Able to absorb all those tools, expecting them out of GrandXur, who I think overzealously forced that fight. Now losing Hamzy and losing Charm as the payload again falls in the control of LYNX.
I want to talk about the respawn wave here as well. Because both Hamzy and Charm went down a little bit later, this is disconnected respawns for GrandXur. This is going to cost them a little bit more time to actually reset correctly, which is going to give LYNX TH the ability to finally get this cart forward, to push forward, still have the Graviton Surge to use on both sides.
Hamzy throws out his grab. Boomba up is quite low. They should be able to get the D-Mech there, and there were no defensive ultimates. LYNX, oh man, they just kind of let that one go.
Yeah, I'm not too sure they were in position to really counter that one out properly. There was a pretty decent grab, but what they will be able to do is come back with their own. So one thing is clear now, if it can be quite risky to play grab directly into a grab. You got to get the value out of your own counter grab. Sometimes it's safe to let that fight go, come back, you still have more than 2 minutes remaining, use your own grab, match Shadow if you have to. This is as well, but look, it's winnable for LYNX now.
Would have liked to see a bit more proactivity. Now they had to fight to get back on the cart. Again, great block from Rod Tongue. Stopping those Earth Shadows from connecting. They've previously been so good. And again, his own far better on the connection. Self-destructors in the mix. Not necessary, but they get the kills. That's an ultimate out of Hugo that's not going to do much for his team. Is now just not available for further down the line. He's going to drop in just a few moments if he's not careful. Silvercoin throws his ultimate sky high. Doesn't get anything, but does get back in the mech. GrandXur might just be able to reset here. LYNX haven't closed out the kills quickly enough. They finally pop Malum though, and Panty saves the team of the Transcendence. They find Charm off to the side as well. Papillon low. They're doing it, I think. It looks like they're going to be able to push this over the line.
Yeah, this is the map 5.
Coin. This is what they needed. LYNX, for all those good pushes in the first 2 stages, they did still have plenty of time, even when there were the issues, even when they blundered a little bit, even when things didn't go right. They get the final fight, and we are going to our second tiebreaker of the night.
And this is it. You need no delusions of grandeur trying to push out in one single push, trying to get this grand victory here. You just need to cap whatever state that is, however you do it. If it happens to be in the overtime, if it takes you the entire full 5 minutes, which is what they had pushing into C after capping B, if it takes you the full 5 minutes, it takes you the full 5 minutes, but you win the map, and they did it with 1 minute remaining, had the right respawns, had the right abilities, had the right resources, put GrandXur onto the back foot. Hugo didn't die, but he spent a long time doing nothing, trying to get back to his own team. Charm came through as a doomfist, couldn't quite do enough. He's certainly no Bello. And then at the end of the day, because they had time remaining, 5 minutes pushing into C versus 1:30 pushing into C, which is what GrandXur had, that's what makes a difference.
And it's interesting because even though GrandXur pushed very consistently and won more fighters than they'd lost, ultimately, just the extra time, exactly, it was slow, the extra time off the clock, that's what LYNX bought themselves by scrapping and fighting constantly. And the fact that they had a couple of successful wins on the defense right at the start before GrandXur got underway was the difference in clock there. When you compare that to how largely unmitigated LYNX's own push and success was, despite the odd snafu, despite the odd overextension and mismove and sometimes just not being proactive enough, they had the time on the clock.
And now 2 out of 2, first 2 matches of the season in a row. We're going to go to a map 5, but it's going to happen after this break, so don't go anywhere. The conclusion of match number 2, LYNX TH versus GrandXur. Who's going to take it out? Find out after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Overwatch Contenders Pacific Season 3, second match of our opening day and week here underway already, and our second full 5-map series underway. LYNX TH versus GrandXur, and basically what is looking like a repeat of our opening match, Nova versus Talon. And look, this is these matches have been delivering tonight.
They absolutely have, and they've been so satisfying as well. Both playing out in very different ways, all things considered as well. First match of the night, teams traded maps back and forth, and ultimately Talon got the last one. If we're looking for this to play out in a similar way in terms of the same team winning control, then you'd say it would be LYNX ultimately taking it, but the way this played out was very different. It wasn't that one team was better than the other on the payload maps and the other's better on control or anything like that. So I kind of feel like coming into Nepal for the tiebreaker, all bets are off.
And it's going to come down to what I think is mainly LYNX decided now. The reason I think that is, when you look at GrandXur, a lot of things have been consistent where they play the Super McCree, which is, say, 1 McCree, 1 DPS, and the rest of the tanks with Brigida. That's been one of their better comps. They played it a decent amount on Busan. I expect them to bring it out again onto Nepal, especially Sanctum's been a fantastic map. We've already seen a lot of change-ups from even the Nova versus Talon esports of how the teams have sort of moved between the separate maps. So we only got to saw Shrine and Sanctum, but even across those two, it's been a decent amount of goats. We've seen some McCree, seen some Doomfist, which is going to enable players like Bello again. So for LYNX, can they be the ones to really kind of, you know, turn things in their favor by playing things that are good for them, but also showing some versatility? Because so far, if we go on to control, if a Tracer comes out, Charm's going to play that. It's not been like a super impressive Tracer, but it's in there. There's a Widow in there. Haven't seen Tracers or Widows or McCrees or other hit scans come out from LYNX just yet.
And that's the thing, LYNX haven't had that same flexibility. Even when we've seen Nutsuru Sama moving away from the Zarya, which has been decent for him, when he's been on things like Genji's, even when he has, I believe, briefly did play a Sombra at one point, it's not been as impactful as what we've seen for the most part out of GrandXur on every pick they've been able to pull out from their DPSs. But on the other side of that, you're seeing how consistently good Bello is on just about everything he does bring out. So you kind of, it evens out, I would say. It ultimately evens out.
Unless he gets destroyed by double stuns on Hanamura. That's, Hanamura was, like, what should be his best map, he got absolutely demolished on there. So what we'll say, aside from Hanamura, Bello's had a fairly okay, you know, decent, from okay to good performance. And even on the Brigida, which I got to say is a kind of like a, it's almost like a metaphorically good pick from him. Instead of Doomfist, he's got a Doom Whip. It's just something we can just dive onto the enemy team and get in their face and just, instead of punching them, they
just with a stun.
Wail. He just like whip shots.
Just plays the two most annoying characters in Overwatch. That's it. That's what he does. That's the Bello way.
I gotta say, for this patch and this meta, if he only plays 2 heroes, like, that's okay. Those are the ones.
A good 2 to play. But I would still like to see a bit more flexibility out of them, because we also have to say completely fairly of this team, the 2 map wins they've got so far have been the 2 maps where they've been able to play the most goats. It is their strongest team comp right now. They can play other things, but they're just not as good. Luckily, Nepal is a map where we can also see a bit of goats, which is why I'd maybe favor them. But it's not a map where goats is the be-all, end-all.
Certainly not on a map like Sanctum. Maybe on Shrine, which, you know, in our previous series we did see, you know, the 3-3 goats versus the 3-3 goats. We haven't seen a lot of Village yet, but Village can also go in that direction. But Village could also be the map where, you know, historically we've seen picks like Farah be quite popular. We've seen Junkratz, we've seen Maze even. There was a period of time where double shotguns, Reaper, Hog, and May was a pretty good composition back in season, I believe 1 maybe even was. So a lot of different things we can see.
Back in the day. The days of yore. It does look like first map is going to be Shrine. Couldn't tell for a brief moment whether it was Shrine or Village, but we are seeing goats v goats. 3-3 on both sides and both running a Reinhardt.
Yeah, and this is going to be the Rhine battle again between Rodtung and Papillon, and that's been a pretty rough game for Rhine to play, especially for that reason.
Oh, it's Rodtung who doesn't get back up. They do trade off with Charm, which is something. You will say that Papillon can have more of an impact, and that's why LYNX is backing up right now. They are aware they can't take this. Unfortunately, though, They don't back up without losing Bumbarappa's mech, so GrandXur will get the point and a big advantage early in the fight. Nice late catch as well.
Oh, they're going to get some more.
Oh, this is very aggressive from GrandXur, and it's totally paying off. LYNX did not back up far enough.
And Panties could go down here if he's not too careful. Hugo's been landing some really good shots. In fact, landing so many shots, already has a Transcendence. Papillon already with that Earth Shatter as well. And you can see here how important it is to keep your Reinhardt alive versus losing one. They Charm down for Rod Tongue, but they'd much rather have Charm go down and Rod Tongue go down than Papillon go down on their side.
It's a little bit rough on the whole.
Oh, cancel!
Oh, it's so unfortunate. Rod Tongue took a lot of hurt, nearly got topped off, got Earth Shattered instead, and again the follow-up is just all there. We talk about these low economy fight wins. GrandXur are so good at them.
GrandXur didn't even land the Shatter there. Papillon actually got denied it by Bellow's Shield Bash, and even so, LYNX lost that, and LYNX lost 3 members. In fact, maybe 3 members is a pretty good thing for them because that could have been 6 members they lost if the Shatter actually connected.
LYNX are so far behind right now. Oh, what is going on here, man? The denials are off the hook right now, but Papillon still gets the connection. LYNX have decided they want to fight this one out, though, and I think rightfully so. They've taken the Transcendence out from Hugo. They'll get the Reinforcer of Bello before too long, and they can start coming in with some good ultimates.
Sneaky Zarya, not sneaky enough. LYNX TH know how to check corners there. It was like a 2-team, a double team there from both Bumbarappa and Bello. DM into the grab, and Bello then gets to stun in there. Let's see if the self-destruct does anything from GrandXur.
It does disrupt a little bit, but it doesn't get any kills. Self-destruct forward from Bumbarappa! Gets 3. That's the combo that you need. The grab, the self-destruct, and LYNX are going to wrest control of this point back from GrandXur, having just 2 fights ago been so far behind.
And by the way, we're at over 90%, but this is exactly the kind of plays that LYNX TH needs to make when they're so far behind in terms of momentum, snowball pressure, in terms of ult and ult economy. So important for GOATs versus GOATs. So if you're LYNX TH and you're that far behind, what you need to be able to do is cancel out the ultimates, get high value on your own individual abilities despite being severely down on ultimates. So that is eating a graviton, stunning out an Earth Shatter. That's how you come back.
LYNX do have their work cut out for them. Oh, nice Shatter. Didn't quite get too much though.
Countered with the barrier.
Countered Papillons, that's important. LYNX are in a decent position. They've got to watch for Hamzy's grab. They've got a Transcendence to counter it.
This is where Hamzy's got to make this work. He's had 1 grab eaten already, so the second one does connect.
Yeah, it does get one out, but there's the ult from Panties to stop it. Rod Tongue does go down in the charge forward, but here's the counter grab and the counter Transcendence from Hugo himself. So now all's even, except for the fact that GrandXur are getting kills and are 99% on the point to boot, which is soon going to be back in their possession.
This is what happens when GrandXur actually are able to connect their ultimates and get the kills off them too for LYNX.
That's that.
No ability to get back on there, and they needed themselves, after winning 1 crucial team fight, to have the ability to win further. And to do that, you need ultimates. To do that, you need to connect your ultimates and also then counter out any resources that GrandXur have remaining. So, unfortunately, it is a lot to ask for, but Bumbarappa, a second eat there would have probably have given them another viable defense. But for LYNX, when you're that far behind 0-99, you can only rely on hero plays.
A little bit rough on the whole. GrandXur just getting a little bit more value out of some ultimates where LYNX weren't getting any in that final fight.
And in terms of momentum, that was basically all GrandXur. LYNX were on the back foot the entire time. Only won 1 fight off the back of some good individual picks. Now for LYNX, can they maintain control from the get-go this time on a reset on Village?
Certainly would see the potential there. Opening scrap.
They lost positioning already.
Natsurusama is low, but they got the pick on Charm. That's more important than losing the positioning, because now with the numbers advantage, they can heal up and push back out, but not with Rod Tongue going that low and now dying. Hadn't quite respected how low he was, and the fact that the Discord Orb, I believe, had not yet expired. So now, despite getting the first pick, LYNX have had to completely abandon the position, and the point will go to GrandXur.
Well, this is why the position is actually more important than the pick, is that's the reason LYNX spread their members out. A couple of members had to back up through their bottom section. After the members have to go under the top section, so they didn't have their team together.
Now they're just scrapping it out, trying to get some ultimates on the table. Again, picking Hugo, and this time they can start to get into the thick of it. They need to be able to counter out Papillon's Earth Shatter here. Throws it down. Nice block by Rod Tongue. Lynx are now on the point, looking to get in control. Now they take the fight, charge forward, smack around the hammer. Rod Tongue cleans up a huge chunk of kills, and only 25% for GrandXur before Lynx take control.
And neither of GrandXur's supports had an ultimate there. Malin on 98. So close yet so far, just couldn't quite have the counters available for when the Earth Shatters come out. And by the way, LYNX TH didn't even use an Earth Shatter. It was actually Papillon that had the Earth Shatter first. And that was countered up by Zobi, and LYNX TH off the back that are able to cap and have weapons and have abilities to now maintain this capture, to now force GrandXur back again.
There's a nice connection from Rod Tongue. He's had a few good ones of those, you've got to say, and very quickly Lynx are able to clean up the fight. Committed the rally there as well, but you've got to consider that a low economy win.
That's a free ult. You can always use the rally there just for the free armor that you're going to use anyway. Gives you the ability to just charge up that rally back up quicker, and for GrandXur, despite being slightly behind here, they're not even behind by that much. They haven't been doubled in terms of progress just yet. Still have ults to play with, still have a grab.
They need to make them connect, though. They need to make them count. That's a nice placement. Actually can't get eaten when he throw it out there. Throwing the self-destruct, gets bumped forward. It's in a tight spot, right on top of the grab. Doesn't get the kills, though, and Sound Barrier from Malin counters it as Lynx not getting the same mileage out of their defense and ultimates. GrandXur, very nice, clean, quick fight win.
And if the barrier wasn't effective enough there, they also had the Transcendence just in case things got a little bit too hairy. But now both Rhines have the Shatters both available, but only one team has the ability to get the healing in, and the support ultimate so important in these Shatter battles. As long as Hugo can maintain safety, get out of the line of sight of that Earth Shatter from Rod Tongue, assuming it connects, this is how GrandXur can continue winning fights. And look at the progress here, 49 to 61. It's still neck and neck.
Now Lynx, with very few tools on the table, need to find some way of making it connect. Oh, Stun Shatter doesn't quite get the connection,
Hugo?
though. Put that one back up in the nick of time. However, Bello still got picked. Bumbarapa still loses his Make the Silver Queen self-destruct. But Lynx could afford to lose that one because of how many ultimates it cost GrandXur.
Look at that, fast fingers as well. I gotta really commend Notsuru-sama for having the projected barrier ready, but not quite enough to really save LYNX TH. As Papillon with that Earth Shatter coming through does connect on enough members to really force Lynx out, and now, again, defending GrandXur can still use its Transcendence.
Again, Lynx going for the same move, same rotation. Nice placement with the Discord Orb and the opening damage. What a shatter from Rod Tongue, but it was largely countered by that Transcendence that had already been used earlier. Hanny's with his own Transcendence now. Hamsy throws in the grab now that there's no Transcendence to counter it, but the Sound Barrier will do just fine as Hugo gets picked. Earth Shatter though, Rod Tongue was already low, now goes down. Bumbarapa throws his self-destruct forward. They get it, they were able to drop the shield just in the nick of time.
That's three.
And Lynx, I think they may just be able to flip this one back around as Notsuru-sama cleans up the point.
And that's exactly the kind of combo you need to see out of Notsuru-sama and Bumbarapa. Rod Tongue didn't actually get the barrier from Zobi there. He was the only member of the 6 to miss out on the barrier. Because of that, he goes down super early. The other 5 stay alive, and the other 5 clean up that fight. And now 73% to 99. I believe this game's got to go to 99 on both sides.
That being said, GrandXur do come in with a self-destruct soon up on Silver Coin, and Marlin almost with a Sound Barrier. Lynx don't really have the same ultimates in the pocket. It's going to be a long, protracted one, but Rod Tongue could get a shatter here if these guys aren't careful. Self-destruct forward. Bumbarapa, what's he looking for? There's the shatter, but doesn't get to charge it and follow up. Nice stun. Save here with the Transcendence. Saves Rod Tongue's life as Notsuru-sama desperately tried to come up on a grab. Hamsy racing in for that one. Rally from Bello. Panties has already used the Transcendence. Bello goes down now, and we're at that 99 to 99. Notsuru-sama and Hamsy both double grab. Who gets the kills? It's GrandXur! And at the 99th percentile, despite the point still being in Lynx's possession, they have no members left. The gong will ring out. The cap goes over, and I do not believe Bello will roll here in time. GrandXur will finish the 2-0 on Nepal to close out our second series of the day.
And what seems like a mirror of our first match this evening as well, just like Nova versus Talon Esports, we get to Nepal. It's neck and neck, but it is a 2-0 victory for one of the teams. And for GrandXur, the ability to just outplay, set momentum, and come back when required on Nepal on Village, so crucial. And that's not to speak to the fact that Shrine was very very much their stage. Shrine was all GrandXur except for one fight. We didn't even get a chance to go to Sanctum, but now we've seen all the different stages in the poll on our first day.
Man, you've really got to say as well, I mean, the course that series really told a story, a very interesting story between these two teams. You look at the difference in GOATs at the start, where it was LYNX able to edge it out on Busan, and then by the end of it, in that same situation, it was GrandXur able to do it on Nepal. You see the improvement there, but I also want to talk about some of the improvement we saw out of LYNX. I've really got to compliment Rodtongue, actually, especially early on. He was dying a lot as Winston. Very first map of Busan, we saw him started getting a lot more and more consistent. By the end of it, where Papillon was connecting a ton of Earth Shatters and Rodtongue was barely connecting any, it actually got to the point where Papillon was mostly getting blocked and it was Rodtongue connecting most of them. However, it was disparity elsewhere in the game that did ultimately tip it in GrandXur's favor when push came to shove on Nepal.
And one of the disparities I want to point out is actually in Hugo. He's been really stepping up right from map number 1. Right on Busan, he stood out to me because he was doing a lot of damage, getting transcendences quite quickly, landing discords onto the right targets as well. You could see it when he's playing in that Super McCree composition. When he's playing in GOATs, he's always a factor. Throughout the series, he's been a factor. Nambani, remember his Ana play, the sleep dart onto Nitsura-sama's Nano Blade.
Twice.
Absolutely sick. Twice, you're absolutely correct there as well. So Hugo's been a key player, I think, on the GrandXur side. He's definitely going to be one to watch out for later on.
And I mean, we're saying that when his counterpart in this matchup was Pannies, the one player between these two teams that has performed on a World Cup team, that has really impressed internationally, exactly twice. I mean, that's really saying something. And that's not to say that Pannies was not playing well. He still was playing decently. I would dare say he wasn't playing at the best level that he's known for, but at any rate, an excellent showing from these two teams. I think this is going to be a very interesting and very close group all up.
Yeah, and I had a lot of doubts about LYNX TH, but they've proved me wrong despite going down 2 and 3. The fact that they went that close says a lot about their ability here. They might have missed out on Season 2, but damn am I glad to see them back in Season 3. We are going to take another break now, but when we do come back, closing out Day 1 of Week 1 of Season 3 with another Thai team at Xavier Esports semi-finalists from last season versus We Are Eternal Gaming, new entry from Korea. We'll see you after this break.